Pokemon cards. You know 'em. Or do you? I wouldn't be surprised if you didn't these days. Sometimes it feels like we're living in some bizarro dimension where these things never existed. It's like the Mandela effect. I mean, have you seen the Pokemon card aisle at Target lately? This place is emptier than one of my Fire Emblem videos. Returning viewers may know that I haven't been the most tapped into Pokemon lately. This is especially true for the TCG. While I've really only recently fallen off the wagon with the video games, I haven't collected Pokemon cards in about a decade. That isn't to say I don't love them, though. Most of the cards from my early childhood got lost during a move, but I have a small collection from my adolescence. And I also have a really cool collection of vintage cards that an old teacher gave me. She even saved the wrappers from the booster packs, which I think are some of the coolest things that I own. For the past 10 years, though, I really just hadn't thought about Pokemon cards at all. I was happy to simply keep my dusty old binder to occasionally flip through when I needed that dose of nostalgia. That is, until this stupid app came out and ruined my life. Pokemon TCG Pocket, ladies and gentlemen. Proof that if there is a god, he wants me to have a gambling addiction. I started Pocket a little bit later than most players. I was really put off at first by the constant bombardment of YouTube ads with Pokemon YouTuber number 3827 opening a pack and reading the same script. Whoa, Squirtle, so cute! Arcanine EX, awesome! Let's add them to the collection! Download now or Pikachu will smother you in your sleep! But eventually, I was dragged into it kicking and screaming by some coworkers, and before long, the pretty pictures hypnotized me back into being a good little consumer. Now, I've dunked on one of Nintendo's other mobile offerings, Fire Emblem Heroes, before in the past, but you've gotta understand, TCG Pocket is different. Fire Emblem Heroes has 10 different Camilla alts. This game has 2 versions of Finneon. Like many of you, I fell victim to the freemium gameplay model and its meticulously designed intermittent free dopamine hits, and before long I was frothing at the mouth, ready to throw cash into the cold, loveless arms of the Pokemon Company's sterile embrace. But thankfully, the rational part of my brain, barely on life support at this point, managed to remind me that I shouldn't waste money on digital pieces of cardboard. In fact, I really shouldn't spend money on real pieces of cardboard either. Oops, how'd this credit card debt get here? Now, given that my first attempt at finding cards wasn't all that difficult, I figured this would be just like back when I was a kid. Walk into Target or Walmart, pick up a booster pack, open it and be disappointed, rinse, repeat. Little did I know that by choosing now of all times to re-enter this hobby, I was not just dipping my toes into a rabbit hole, I was, in fact, leaping head first into the goddamn Grand Rabbit Canyon. Welcome to my journey through the absolute state of the Pokemon card market. So for those of you who aren't aware, you will, in fact, not be walking into Target or Walmart and leaving with a booster pack. Just look at the shelves. Now, how did we get to the point where the TCG section of Walmart looks like a microcosm of the 2020 toilet paper incident? At first glance, it might not be so obvious. Sometimes things are just popular, and as a result, kinda hard to find. It's really not all that crazy to think that with the boom in popularity from the new mobile game, more people might just be buying Pokemon cards, and as a result, the retailers are out of stock. An organic phenomenon like this, while unfortunate, doesn't exactly seem all that hopeless. Sure, you might think to yourself, there might not be cards here today, but I must have just come in right at the tail end of their last delivery. I'll just come back and check in a few days after a restock. Well, I admire your optimism, hypothetical strawman viewer I made up in my head, but you are as naive as you are hopeful. I hate to break it to you, but it's not just Walmart or Target. You will not be walking out of anywhere with any Pokemon cards basically any time. Whether it's one of the aforementioned big box retailers, a Dollar General, a Best Buy, a Barnes & Noble, a CVS, or even the one box they keep in the checkout line for little Timmy at Dick's Sporting Goods. They've already been completely cleaned out before you even thought about walking through that door. This phenomenon is anything but organic. This complete ravaging of the collectible aisle wasn't carried out by an army of little Timmies, their parents, or even some big Timmies who have moved on to collect in their adult life. No, this is the work of the human equivalent of mosquitoes, scalpers. Have you ever looked at the price of an item on the shelf and thought, damn, this is nice and all, but I wish it was more expensive? Well, thanks to scalpers, this is not only something you can finally achieve, but something being forced upon you. That's right, those lines you see forming outside of GameStop 3 hours before opening aren't made of Pokemon fans and collectors, at least not entirely. I'd wager that at least a quarter of them are scalpers, or resellers. Basically, these chucklefucks buy up popular items, in this case unopened booster packs in any form, and then resell them for an insane markup while adding absolutely zero value. In fact, tell you what, zero value is me being charitable. They are actively removing the convenience of being able to buy the product at a big box store in real time, requiring you to wait on shipping or arrange an in-person sale, while at the exact same time, introducing doubt into the legitimacy and integrity of the product. So actually, they are providing you a worse product for double the price. And the best part is, these guys have the audacity to unironically refer to this as their business without an ounce of shame. Wow, it's like if testicular torsion was a person. Now I'd love to pretend that it's just scalpers contributing to this chaos. It would make for a much easier story to tell, having a boogeyman to point to. But the thing is, scalpers, while I'm not excusing the shameless behavior, are in fact only a symptom of a much more systemic problem with Pokemon cards as a whole. If anything, the scalper discourse is almost a smokescreen for the real problem. We can bemoan individual scalpers all day long, but what do we do when the scalping starts up in the supply chain rather than on the store shelves? For those of you who aren't aware, Pokemon cards, for the most part, aren't directly sold by the Pokemon Company. Unless you're getting them through the Pokemon Center website, which, let's face it, you probably never will at this point, you'll be buying them at some kind of retailer. Sounds simple, right? The Pokemon Company sells wholesale to retailers, and the retailers sell to you. Well, unfortunately, it's not that simple. There's another middleman here that has grown into a problem in and of itself. The Pokemon Company sells to distributors, who then sell to and stock retailers. The problem is, apparently, these distributors have discretion on what they want to stock, how much they want to stock, and when they want to stock it. In this way, they can hold back product to create artificial supply shortages, even when the Pokemon Company is printing enough to meet demand. But it gets even worse. In the inflated market that this manufactured scarcity creates, these companies then proceed to sell some of that held back product under shell companies at a huge markup on the exact same storefront they're supposed to be stocking, like Walmart.com. The perfect storm of abuse at every level of the supply chain leaves so little left for your average consumer at MSRP that demand becomes crazy even among people who just want to rip packs. If this is your hobby and you only happen to stumble into a lucky restock once a month, you're going to buy a whole month's worth of cards for yourself at that moment. So oftentimes, shelves will be completely cleaned out within minutes of a restock, even if there's not a scalper in sight. This complete elimination of supply alongside an increase in demand has led to an insane inflation in price anywhere that isn't store shelves, which, as I mentioned, are empty. Yes, that is a $15 booster pack of a Pokemon card set that is still in print. Thank you for asking. So now you have two options if you want to get your Pokemon card fix in 2025. Option A, flutter around 10 different retailers every day and be the 17th guy this week to ask some overworked shelf stalker when they're going to get more Pokemon cards while you scratch at your neck like a crack addict. Or option B, submit to the market. Abandon all hope of MSRP, ye who enter here. So obviously the first thing I tried was option A, because I only like wasting most of my money on stupid hobbies, not all of it. I stopped by Target, and it was empty. I checked Target the next day, still empty. In fact, I checked my local Target every day for an entire week, and it was empty every single time. I asked, and they did indeed restock sometime in that time frame. Multiple times, in fact. They just sold out almost instantly. Well, that's okay, I thought to myself. Today I'll just check the Target across town as well. Also empty. Well, while I'm out here, I might as well check out all of the retail. Best Buy? Empty. No idea when they're getting more stock, they said. Costco? I mean, I'm not paying for a membership just to die in combat over the funny Venusaur box. Barnes & Noble? They got some this morning, but they sold out in an hour. I even asked about Pokemon cards at the goddamn Home Depot like a fucking goober. No dice. Defeated? I did the unthinkable. God forgive me for setting foot in such a place, but GameStop? Nothing. Unless you like Funko Pops, stale fart smell, and the depressing air of failing business. But after a week of spending more on gas than Pokemon cards, my luck finally turned around. I'm walking into Target, of course just buying something I actually need this time, not even looking, when I spot it. It's faint, but I almost see it. There is something hanging in the Pokemon section of the wall. Not Magic the Gathering, not that Disney shit, and not a boring battle deck that not even the kids want. No, I'm pretty sure those are Pokemon booster packs. As I'm halfway there, I see two people walk up and grab something from the wall. No way two separate people just bought Lorcana in rapid succession. It's confirmed at this point. That's the good cardboard. With one final step weaving through the checkout lane, I've made it. The tree of life stretches before me, for the first time bearing fruit, ripe for the picking. I reach forth and pluck my prize, proudly claiming what is rightfully mine after all of this time. A single Sword and Shield booster pack with a $1 upcharge because it comes with a shitty little binder. Limit 1. And they were all gone before I was through checkout. But emboldened by the immense high of my victory, I set forth back into the wild to make my retail rounds once again. I was committing. This was my day now, and I was not going home without more cards. And it turns out, all of the same stores I checked the day before were now still empty. Yeah, I don't know what I expected. But at my last stop of the day, back in Funko Pop Flatulence Hell, the woman at the counter actually gave me some valuable intel. They got some this morning, but they sold out immediately. However, their restocks are consistent. Every Saturday morning, there are cards for sale in this building. They sell out fast, so I'd have to get in line early, but it's a surefire way to get my hands on some packs. So a week later, the promised day comes. Bright and early on my day off, I roll up to GameStop at 9 a.m., an hour before opening. And holy shit, it feels like I'm waiting in line to get on fucking Space Mountain. There are already about 50 people in front of me. The guy at the front of the line is in his pajamas with a folding chair, a book, a gaming laptop, and a power bank. This dude has clearly been here all night. But I'm here both to feed my newfound addiction and do recon for YouTube, so I can't just turn back now. An hour and a half later, I'm almost at the counter. And of course, I'm the very first person in line to not get a booster bundle. Okay, so if I can't just find them in the wild, maybe I'll order some online? Looks like Best Buy is dropping some of those blooming water boxes in just a few minutes. That's the one people are killing each other over at Costco. Okay, so I'll just sit here and refresh the page so I can get in line the second it goes live. And there we go, I'm in line right on time. Blooming Waters, here I come. It's gone. Turns out, these are all getting snapped up by bots the millisecond they become available. I have not been able to find one singular person who actually got their hands on one of these from a Best Buy drop. So it looks like in-person and retail are both out. Sounds like we're gonna have to go with option B. I mean, if I really want one of these things, I guess a little markup is okay.
Oh my goodness!
I guess the scalpers took the 151 in the set name literally. For context, this is about as expensive as a retail booster box. Those are $161 and come with 36 packs, coming out to $447 per pack. This Blooming Waters shit comes out to roughly $13.60 per booster pack pre-tax. Over $1 per card. Those 11 energies you're guaranteed to get? $11, please. This is absolutely absurd. These prices are astronomical. You'd have to be a complete idiot to actually consider buying. Okay, so now that I've got one of those, I'm going to need to find another way to fuel my addiction, because 3 times MSRP doesn't seem sustainable, and I also feel kind of dirty after that transaction. But as I already said, option A is pretty much bust. Okay, so if everything currently and previously released is at the mercy of the market, looks like I'll just have to turn my attention to the future. Lucky for me, at time of writing, there's a new set being released in just a couple of weeks. And from the looks of it, Journey Together seems pretty appealing. Let's just pre-order a booster box and it's already sold out. God damn it. But fear not, my friend, because the market has come to save the day once again. For the low price of a 50 to 100% markup plus shipping and handling, you can get your hands on a pre-order the scalpers don't even own yet but are already upcharging for. So by this point, I've basically completely lost hope, as you should be able to tell by the Pokemon Black and White emotion theme being added in post. Aside from a booster box that I lucked into and split with a friend right when I got back into the hobby, I haven't been able to find jack shit. In fact, I kinda resent that I was able to find that booster box in the first place, because it gave me false hope that by driving around to 10 different stores, maybe I could find something. Being at the end of my rope and realizing just how crazy the Pokemon card market had become, I started telling people about it. I was just in such disbelief that I had to spread the word, and when I told my friends, they were just as floored as I was. I made a community post about it, I talked to my coworkers about it, I even ranted to my mom about it over the phone. And being the sweet lady that she is, she offered to keep a lookout for me while she did her shopping. So it follows that, of course, course, after I babbled like a mental ward escapee about the rarity of any Pokemon card set, I shit you not, the very next day, my mom waltzes into Target and just happens to catch the unfortunate teenager restocking the shelves before a line is formed. And since she's nice and polite rather than snapping up Pokemon cards like a starving piranha, the guy lets her grab whatever she wants. And then, despite having no idea what she should grab, she gets me 2 Prismatic Evolutions surprise boxes. Holy shit, Mom. But Soda Crab, you may be wondering, what the hell is a Prismatic Evolution anyway? Well, while I wait on those to ship, now might be a good time to talk about what sets are actually out there, because this shit is kinda confusing if you're new. For the most part, what you're going to be finding on the shelves, assuming there is anything on the shelves at all aside from the battle decks that not even the kids want, is going to be Scarlet and Violet sets, since, you know, that's the current era. Now, if you're starving for some Pokemon cards and just want to open some packs, in my experience, your best bet is finding something from Scarlet and Violet base set, Obsidian Flames, Paradox Rift, or Temporal Forces. From what I've seen, these sets aren't being targeted as much by scalpers. In fact, a friend of mine found some Temporal Forces in the Pokemon vending machine at his local Fry's, and this was after the morning scalper raid. If you happen to walk in an hour or two after a restock and the store has a purchase limit per customer, there might be some of these left in tins or blisters. Stellar Crown, Shrouded Fable, Twilight Masquerade, Paldean Fates, and Paldea Evolved are a little trickier. I haven't even seen these at my local card stores, and they seem to be higher up on the scalper pecking order. Now keep in mind, this is only the situation where I live. Your experience may vary. Maybe you'll have an easier time finding these sets than what I've been able to find. But I can tell you one area in which your experience will never vary. The big 3, as I like to call them. 4 if you count the new Journey Together expansion, but I finished most of this video before it released, so we're gonna ignore that. First of all, there's Surging Sparks. It's new-ish and it has Pikachu on the cover. Do I really need to say more? It speaks for itself. The $1,000 Pikachu card hiding in there might also be a slight contributing factor. Then there's 151, the set people are killing each other over at Costco. As the name suggests, it's a set consisting of only the original 151 Pokemon, because, you know, Kanto is so underrated and doesn't get enough love, of course. Basically, everyone is always going to love the original 151 Pokemon, so this evergreen nostalgia combined with some really pretty art makes this set dangerously obnoxious to find. Most notable from 151 is the inclusion of an illustration rare Charizard. Charizard cards tend to hold a lot of value purely because of Charizard privilege. Just look at the base set one and the absurd price it sells for. Someone unironically paid an entire house worth for a piece of cardboard. As far as I know, base set Charizard is no more rare than any other holo rare from the same set. The supply of Charizard and, I don't know, Magneton should theoretically be about the same, but the demand is way higher because, well, it's Charizard, hence the prices. This is true of many different Charizards over the years. The Charizard from 151, however, stands out by virtue of just being really fucking ugly. What the hell is this and where is its neck? Why is it worth a fucking car payment? And finally, there's Prismatic Evolutions, the set that you will likely die without ever touching. Unless you're my mom, apparently. Prismatic Evolutions is mostly just a bunch of reprints, but it features Eevee and its evolutions, including new illustration rare cards of all 9 that are each worth an entire month's rent. This is a recipe for absolute disaster. These cards are really appealing, hence why fans want them. Casuals and little kids love Eevee and its evolutions, hence why they want them. The cards are worth a lot, hence why investors and collectors want them. And knowing that all of these groups want this set and are willing to pay for it, scalpers are eager to snap up every last box to resell for a profit. When you see lines of scalpers at the store, this is what they're waiting to suck up like ravenous leeches. Booster packs, booster bundles, elite trainer boxes, mini tins, collection boxes, you name it. They are gone in a flash. Straight to Facebook Marketplace to be sold off by some asshole that couldn't name 5 Pokemon. Of course, once my prismatic packs arrived, I ripped them immediately because I have absolutely no self-control. While I enjoyed myself thoroughly, I didn't actually get anything good. Apparently, the pull rates in Prismatic are kinda trash, and this is basically just a cardboard casino. Oh well, that's the way it is sometimes, you know, luck of the draw. But what if I did get something good? What if I got that coveted Umbreon worth, holy shit, worth $1,300? Well, I'd probably keep it because I'm a hoarder, but what if I wanted to sell it? You would think that all you have to do is put it on eBay for the market price, but if you look at the price charting page, there are multiple prices on here. I don't know about you, but $3,200 sounds much better than just $1,300, so what the hell is a PSA 10 and how do I get it? Well, I'll tell you how, by paying out the ass for likely minimal gain. PSA, or the Professional Sports Authenticator, is a collectible grading company. As far as the grading market goes, they are considered the gold standard. They grade cards on a scale of 1 to 10. There are other grading companies out there, but there's a reason that specifically PSA 10 prices have their own categories listed on Price Charting and TCG Player. People will pay a premium for a PSA 10, one that they wouldn't pay for a 10 from most other companies. From what I understand, this premium mostly just comes down to consensus? I think since PSA grades the most Pokemon cards out of any grading company by a wide margin, there's both a larger, more liquid market for them and more trust in their experience. At least that's what I got from my research on well-known, trustworthy source Reddit.com. From what I've gathered, most people do PSA grading through their partnership with GameStop these days, since it's apparently a convenient and hands-off process. They take the cards from you at any location, mail them off to PSA, and provide you with a tracking number that keeps you updated on the process. The cost for PSA grading is pretty steep at $18 a card, and it takes 45 business days at minimum. This means that the process is really only worth it for cards that you strongly believe would have their value elevated by a PSA rating. For example, remember that vintage card collection I was talking about before, the one a teacher gave me? Well, there are dozens, maybe hundreds of cards in there that I could make a profit on. Like these base set Bulbasaurs I have here, they're worth a chunk of change at PSA 10. But if they don't meet the stringent standards for a 10, the drop-off is massive, and at that point, after shipping, eBay commission, taxes, etc., I'm barely making a profit if I'm making one at all. So that would likely just be $18 down the drain. Now, if I had a Shadowless First Edition Charizard, on the other hand, that could buy me an early retirement, so yeah, I'd pay the fee in a heartbeat. Except I was lying to you. That fee is not $18. Not if you're grading anything valuable, that is. Turns out, if PSA determines that your card is worth over a certain dollar amount, they will then upcharge you an additional fee. Now this starts out pretty tame. If your card is worth $500, they'll charge you $25 total. That's only $7 extra, and if I'm making $500, who cares? But if you had a potentially $3,000 card in the mail, like I happen to, then congratulations, you are now on the hook for, I shit you not, $300 for that card alone. And this isn't an IOU or a bill you can get after you sell your card. They will hold your card hostage at GameStop until you can pay to get your own card back after you've already paid what should be a flat fee for services rendered the day you sent them in. So what if you can't afford the fee? No worries. GameStop will gladly make an offer to sell it to them right there on the spot. For store credit, of course. Call me crazy, but this feels like an absolute racket. This process does not feel good at all. I feel taken advantage of every step of the way. It's like an unholy union between the IRS, a pawn shop, and the fucking mafia. I'm being taxed just for having something valuable, I'm having to pay to get my own property back, and GameStop is waiting there to undercut me and take my shit if I can't afford it. Now, I'm not really in a position to allege that anything shady is actually going on here. I don't know anything about PSA's grading process, I don't know the people who do the grading, and I can't make a judgment call on their integrity. Plus, I also just don't want to get sued, so double disclaimer here, I'm not alleging anything, just saying how this looks to an outsider. But this feels shady as fuck, and even if it's not shady, it is certainly shitty. Like, doesn't it seem like this whole system kinda provides PSA with a perverse incentive to overgrade cards, since if they grade something as a 10, they can charge you more money? Now you might be saying, no, Soda Crap, you just don't understand. They ensure the accuracy of all of their gradings, so they need to take a premium for the possibility of an inaccurate grade. And you know what, I'll give you that. That is technically true. PSA personally insures all of their cards for their entire market value if the rating ends up being incorrect. For example, if I bought a PSA 10 Lemonade Lobster card for $10,000 and my discerning eye figures out that it's only an 8, PSA would either buy the card off me for the market value of a 10 or pay me the difference in market value between a 10 and an 8. So they need this upcharge to cover the risk associated with insurance, right? Well, there's just one little problem with that. PSA are the ones who determine whether or not their grade was accurate per their own policy. They make the sole determination on if they owe you anything. Now, again, I don't know anyone down at PSA, so for all I know, they're an organization made up of individuals with unimpeachable integrity, but this setup seems like it could very easily lead to a lot of "we've investigated ourselves and found that we've done nothing wrong" situations. Why would they pay you out when they don't have to? Plus, they're the experts. They know better than you, so it doesn't matter if you think your card isn't a 10. If they say the sky is green, then the sky is green. So basically, this just looks like an excuse to upcharge out the ass for a service that should only cost a flat fee. But what do I know? That's just my 2 cents. Although 2 cents is just my base charge, you can call this my $300. I was very hesitant to go through with this process after I learned about the pricing model, because it feels very, very gross and exploitative. It's like if I paid a mechanic to do a once-over of my car before selling it, and then he shows up at the sale and starts demanding a commission. It's asinine. Now, I don't even plan on selling any of the cards I'm getting graded. Grading isn't just about market value, it's also about certifying that you own something really cool and rare. These are collectibles, after all, but it's just another little aspect of the absolute chaos that is the Pokemon card market. But, you know what? Even with all of this chaos, as terrible of a time as it might be to get into the hobby in a vacuum, I actually think this entire debacle over the past month is the most fun I have ever had with Pokemon cards. Would I probably rather just be able to walk into the store and buy what I want? Sure. But the chase, I'll admit, is exhilarating. I would never have felt such excitement to find that one booster pack bundled with that shitty little binder at Target. I probably wouldn't have even entertained buying it, but there I was dashing across the store to get my hands on just one. It's like TCG Pocket's freemium gameplay model with its intermittent dopamine hits, except instead of doing it from your couch, you get to run around town like a maniac. But there's more to it than just the thrill of the hunt. There's a social aspect to it as well. I've waited in line at 3 different GameStops on 3 different mornings for this video, and while I may have walked out empty-handed one time and light on cards the next, I actually left GameStop on each day with new friends. Everyone who isn't there just to resell is in the same boat, and it's really fun sharing stories from your search, showing off your collection, pooling your intel, and even just doing a little commiserating with your fellow fans. And it's not just my experience either. My little brother, for example, lives in a fairly remote area where there isn't a whole lot to do. I've been there to visit, and I won't lie, it's pretty miserable. But ever since he got on the Pokemon card craze with me, he's been having a blast camping out at the nearest GameStop with his buddies, driving around town to hunt for restocks, and sitting down ripping packs together after a long day. And we've been calling each other constantly over the past few weeks to excitedly share our experience after every pack we managed to pick up. That right there is the amazing thing about Pokemon. As much shit as I've deservedly given it lately for its poor showings in the video game sphere, even at its lowest, Pokemon just has this inexplicable way of bringing people closer together. That was true of the video games for most of my life, and here it is being true of the cards when they're, in a sense, also at their lowest. If anything, the hardship of it all has brought people closer together than ever. Even people who aren't in the hobby are being touched by it, like my mom with her lucky restock, or my friends calling me because they found Pokemon cards at the store and they know I'm looking. This sense of togetherness reminds me of my days as a kid, sitting in a circle with my classmates at lunch, all of us flipping through our binders, making trades for whatever we thought was coolest. As much as Pokemon and my relationship with it has changed, here I am, decades later, realizing that the magic of these little pieces of cardboard hasn't faded one bit. And honestly, I think that's kind of beautiful. So is now really a bad time to get into Pokemon cards? Well, as I've just explained, no, not in a meta sense, but in a more realistic sense? Holy shit, yes, this is bad. This reselling insanity is a disaster, and we need to fix it. So what can we do? What can you or I do to fix the problems with the Pokemon card market? Well, basically nothing. The funny thing is, though, that's all you really need to do. Nothing. On a personal level, if you're acting alone, you can just wait this out. This craze is part of a cycle. This exact same thing happened during the pandemic, and it eventually ramped back down back then too. If you don't want to participate in the Raticate race, simply don't. One day in the not-so-far future, you will be able to walk into Walmart again and just pick up an Elite Trainer box of the newest set. The unfortunate thing about cycles, though, is that the bad parts repeat too. If you wait this out, you will have to wait out another craze in the future. It's something we'll all have to do together, but you can do your part all on your own. Put simply, don't pay above MSRP for anything that is still in print. If it should be on the shelves at Target, then buy it on the shelves at Target. Or Walmart or Amazon, you get what I mean, as long as it's the same price. The secondary collectibles market for old stuff is whatever, but don't let FOMO take a hold of you. That pack of Pokemon cards from the latest set is only worth $5, no matter how much you like Eevee. Don't pay a penny more. And if you really need some that bad, like Little Timmy's Make-A-Wish is a box of Prismatic, at least go buy it from a card store instead of some jackass on Facebook Marketplace who needs a side hustle but thinks he's too good for DoorDash. The only reason scalpers are doing this is because they can reliably move their product. Make their pockets hurt. Make them regret buying all those non-refundable pieces of cardboard by removing their ability to flip them. If scalping is no longer profitable, the problem will solve itself. All of this is to say, I hope the day comes where anyone who wants to can easily enjoy Pokemon cards again. The market may be ridiculous right now, and honestly that may be part of the fun for me, but I think I'll be sticking around for a while even after things cool off. Whether you collect, trade, grade, or hell, even play the card game like some kind of insane person, there's some joy to be found here for every Pokemon fan. So grab yourself a pack, if you can find one, and enjoy that new card smell. Thank you for watching.
Hey, Soda Crab, there's someone here asking about your Facebook Marketplace listing for Prismatic Mini
Shit,
Tins.
cut the video! Cut the video!